The Hulk is one of Marvel's most revolutionary creations. One of the reasons I think Bruce Banner is the most unique Avenger was because he is the most everyday man out of all of them. He didn't go through some special ops training. He was no god. He is pretty much just an average but ridiculously smart guy. He started off as a unique spin on the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde character, a tale of man meeting monster. And hey, there was a point in time where the Hulk was seen as the most intimidating Marvel character. He was a last resort, the ultimate failsafe. It gave us what we all wanted out of a tragedy story. Recast after recast. Finally, we got to see the Hulk in his definitive. However,
Go again.
He's a joke now. He's a litmus test. Someone who's used as a punching bag so that people in the audience can go, oh my gosh, that guy's pretty strong, huh? Now, I have no problem with making characters funny if it serves the story or if it feels natural for the character. It obviously works in certain scenarios, but I don't think the Hulk was one of those cases. And I say this because his best scenes are the ones where he isn't turned into a jobber. Top 3 in my head was his fight with the Abomination, that iconic punch in the Avengers, and this scene.
Nice work, big guy. We don't know where Ultron's headed, but you're going very high very fast, so I need you to turn this bird around, okay? We can't track you in stealth mode, so I need you to help me out, okay? I need you
There's so much subtlety and nuance in Ruffalo's performance here that you don't really get from many of the new scenes. What makes Hulk feel so different was that he doesn't wear a mask or a helmet. He doesn't wear a costume. The costume wears him. What I liked the most about it was that it was a great callback to his first transformation in the first Avengers. The way it's shot, the score, the situation, the conflict, all of it. To have one of his teammates watch him transform in between Bruce Banner and the Hulk must be a really disturbing thing to see. The music they play during both of the scenes aren't 100% the same, but they sound scarily similar to one another and do evoke the same emotion. The background theme, specifically in the Ragnarok one, instills such a musical voice to the Hulk's transformation. In a movie filled with basically non-stop jokes and Hulk acting like a baby, it still pays the utmost respect to the Hulk in that it still recognizes him as this scary thing. It's treated as if it's sad, horrifying, and disturbing. It's shot like a horror movie. It starts off with a close-up on his face to show the raw emotions the following scene would entail. You see him go through shock, sadness, disgust, and anger within seconds. The camera takes longer, rougher cuts as if it were shot on handheld. Things get shakier to add a sense of realism. It makes you feel like you're there watching this thing helplessly scream in pain. Hulk consistently stays tracked and centered in frame to make it out as if he's being watched, and yet no one can help him. There's this look of horror in his eye as one of his friends watches him morph back and forth between a man and a monster. It's the perfect vision of what the relationship between the Hulk and Bruce Banner should feel like. It's parasitic and nasty to look at. It isn't until this scene played in Ragnarok where you truly realize how self-destructive their relationship is. You hear Bruce talk about it a few movies back about how depressing it was to live like that, and it was emotionally gripping back then. But it's not until you actually see it visually represented with your own eyes that you see how sick their relationship is. This scene is purposely made very hard to look at to bring Hulk back to his roots. To show that even though the Hulk is sort of forming words now and living in his dream world where everyone loves him, that part that haunts him, that nightmare that constantly suppresses him, is still living inside of him, and that he's stronger than him. There's so many layers to their duality. I've been told that the reason the Hulk's been acting so weird lately was because they've been building him up as this one guy named Professor Hulk, where Hulk and Bruce share the same body at the same time. Well, that's what I've been told anyways. I feel like what made Hulk special was that distinction between the two guys. There's so much going on there that makes him feel so unique. Hulk punching himself in the face could be interpreted in multiple ways. It could be Bruce from the inside regaining control of his body and punishing Hulk for doing the things he didn't want for 2 years. It could be Hulk beating himself up for abandoning the one person who really liked him. Or it could be Hulk punching himself to keep himself angry and in control of Banner's body. Who knows? I like to believe it's all three. It gives the Hulk so many layers and dimensions to him. It's just things like this where there's room for interpretation that makes me feel like the visual storytelling in the MCU doesn't get enough credit. Not a single word is said by Thor. Hulk only says 2 words, and even then it's used to enhance the emotion of the moment. To have Hulk throwing quips and Bruce Banner throwing quips just gives off such a stinky odor on the dynamic he once had. Marvel does this beautiful thing where if they see something work, then they stick with it, and even sometimes they ramp it up to 11. People love Batista in Guardians, so what do they do? Make him more ridiculous in Guardians 2 and Infinity. Let's throw in more jokes and add
I like that.
Everyone loves. On the flip side, if something isn't really working, then they'll radically change it up. For characters that aren't resonating with many people, they want to change it up, and that totally makes sense. I get it. Having more people liking your hero is not a bad thing. Now, come in the Hulk, who by far was the scene stealer in the first Avengers film. He was my favorite character coming out of that movie back in 2012. Someone who wasn't in that movie that much at all. Someone who basically only shows up towards the end of the movie. Was the most memorable and loved part of the film. So how do we make the Hulk better? Let's throw in some shots of Hulk's butt. Let's get Mark Ruffalo to add little quips. Someone get Mark Ruffalo to add. This scene is representative of a lot of the things I love about the Hulk and the MCU. It perfectly captures the essence of what the Hulk is and what he stands for. Yes, the Hulk is the monster within Bruce Banner, but I love how this scene at the same time shows how sad and tragic the life of the Hulk really is. To be locked away for so long and be rejected by everyone, and then you finally get to be happy where everyone loves you and express yourself? Of course the Hulk wouldn't want to leave. He doesn't want to be put back inside Banner's body without a voice or purpose. It makes him feel lost and relatable. It makes him feel vulnerable. It makes it feel like this is the most human form of Bruce Banner we've seen. There isn't a moment in Ragnarok or Infinity War where Bruce Banner in his human form feels as real as the Hulk does in this scene. He says he's devastated because he's been gone for 2 years, but it's undercut as a joke. And then he just forgets about it when the next scene rolls in. To flip the dynamic between Bruce Banner and the Hulk on its head like that, to make his inner demon the victim, to make the monster the human, I think warrants this scene as one of the best scenes from any and all the scenes in the other Avengers movies. And to see where the Hulk started and how he initially felt as a character gives this scene so much of its payoff. Now, I'm not gonna rule out Professor Hulk as a terrible approach to telling Hulk's story. I'm watching Endgame in like 3 days, I'll have a feel for it really soon. But the way I see it, I think these two work best when they don't feel like one another. Marvel's had a pretty good track record with making their characters more interesting and complex over time. Captain America used to be my least favorite character back in 2012. He wore a CW outfit and was pretty bland with his first 2 movies. Then they gave him some great ideological conflicts with the world he saw, brought up clever questions about security versus freedom, then he fought his friends for what he thought was right, and now he's my favorite character. Hulk's character, on the other hand, peaked back then, and he hasn't ever reached that same point, or gotten higher than that ever since. This scene made me remember how powerfully written a character like the Hulk could be when done properly. I'm not saying the Hulk we've got now isn't good. He just isn't as good as he used to be. All of that subtlety that made their relationship great was nowhere in Infinity War, the movie that was supposedly going to continue Hulk's character arc from Ragnarok. It was supposed to expand on this scene and give it more depth, but we didn't get any of that. He's made more simplistic, not complex. They don't add layers to him, they take them away. It's gotten to the point where the directors had to explain to everyone what the point of even having him in the movie was.
Let's talk about Banner's arc. This is an arc that makes Banner a hero and not just someone who whines for the Hulk's help all the time. Banner has to step up and solve the problem on his own. This puts him and the Hulk in a very interesting position at the end of the movie. As he states there, they clearly have a lot to discuss. It's a Jekyll and Hyde relationship. They grow at turns weary with one another. Hulk refuses to help Banner because he believes that Banner only uses the Hulk to solve problems. And Hulk, I think, is starting to perceive himself as who should control the host body because he doesn't feel like Banner brings an awful lot to the table. In Infinity War, Banner has to become the hero and go to war with Thanos and his minions. And he does so, and he's successful, but ultimately not at beating Thanos.
And honestly, that's not a very good thing. When artists have to explain their art to people, the art should speak for itself. They tell you the answer, and there's no room for interpretation. I know this sounds like I'm being negative, but I'm not. I'm just pointing this out because Hulk can be an amazing, complex, empathetic character. Marvel's done it before, and they did it here not too long ago. If they're really trying to go with this Professor Hulk route, I do hope they give Ruffalo more to work with. I miss the nuance and subtlety that made the Hulk so compelling. I think there is a balance between this Professor Hulk arc and the old Hulk that we all liked, and I hope they find it. Give us scenes like this one, or that one from the Avengers. This was really great too. I'd talk about why this was so great, but I think I've been rambling on for a while already. Fortunately, you can go to the dark web by typing in youtube.com/CaptainMidnight. There, you'll find a video by a wonderful video essayist explaining why that scene was so great. Yeah, I know, we finally did it. We did a collaboration. Yeah, thank you. Be sure to check out all the other One Marvelous Scene videos by Nando V Movies, Nitpicks, High Top Films, and many of the other YouTubers I look up to. We're talking about our favorite scenes from the MCU leading up to Endgame and what makes them so special to us. If you'd like to talk about your favorite Marvel scene too, then why not join in and make one? Tell me about your favorite scenes in the MCU and just let me know what makes it special to you. You can make your video before or after Endgame. It doesn't really matter. I'd really love to hear your guys' thoughts on this one. Okay, yeah. I'm done. Thanks for stopping by.